shouldn't be very long tonight, but if it is, who cares, right? This is an old story we've all heard 1,000 times, but I'm going to reiterate some things here. You ready? It says, now Jericho was straitly shut up because of the children of Israel. None went out, none came in. We're going to read a few things here, so just stick with me. And the Lord said unto Joshua, see, I have given into thy hand Jericho. Well, what do you mean you've given Jericho into my hand? It ain't in my hand. All right? And the king thereof, the mighty men of valor. I'm giving you Jericho, I'm giving you the king and the mighty men. Apply that to yourself, guys. I've given you Jericho, I've given you the king thereof, and the mighty men of valor. I've given it to you. Now watch. Bye, sweetie. Keep going. And ye shall compass the city, all men of war, go round about the city once. He's giving him some instruction. He said, I'm giving you this, but there's something you've got to do. I'm giving you some instruction. Kind of goes along with the past few weeks where we're on Wednesdays where we talked about Noah with the ark. There was specific instructions of obedience. And if it was done not according to the instructions, then the result would have never happened. We've always taught this. We have to represent, not substitute. When you brought that up, I'm not going to come in here on a Wednesday night and start preaching about the mark of the beast and the Antichrist. All right? That's that way. We're going this way. All right? So what we're doing here is we're representing when Yahweh, when the Lord, and even if the Lord, not meaning Yahweh, even meaning a man of God in your life, which is also called Lord. As a matter of fact, in the chapter before this, Joshua saw a guy and the guy had a sword. And he said, are you with us or are you against us? And guess what it was? It wasn't some angel, it was an angel. Y'all remember the teaching? He talked about it just a while ago. The teaching, there's angels and then there's angels. Exactly. Hey, there's angels that are immortal and there's ones that are mortal, and guess what? You're blessed to be in a house where there's some that can represent and give you the word of the Lord. The word of the Lord. And that's exactly what happened here. All right? He says, no, I'm for the glory of Yahweh. Oh, thank God. Because you are pretty impressive here and I'm a little bit intimidated. All right? So this is who we're talking about. He says, go around the city once. Thus shall do 6 days. Now, is this crazy? This is crazy. Jericho wasn't like going around the church here. This was so big, there's stories that say that they had chariot races on top of the walls. This was pretty big. This is the wall that Trump is going to build. And Mexico is paying for it. They're going to pay for it. All right, next verse. And 7 priests shall bear before the ark 7 trumpets. He is specific. 7 priests shall bear before the ark 7 trumpets of ram's horns. And the 7th day ye shall compass the city 7 times. Okay, I can maybe handle the 1 time a day. But now on the 7th day, you want me to go around 7 times? It's crazy. And the priest shall blow with the trumpets. Keep going. And it shall come to what? And it shall come to what? I'm telling you what, you heed the word of the Lord and you are doers of it. I promise you it will come to pass, but may not be immediately. And that's what we're going to hit on tonight. It may not come immediately, but I promise you, if you endure and you don't give up and you don't quit, but you keep obeying the word of the Lord, It will come to pass. If God has to stop the sun and the moon and the earth or whatever he's got to do, it will come to pass. Stick it out. Stick it out, Raj. That when they make a long, that word, I can't even say it, Johnny, with the ram's horn, when ye hear the sound of the trumpet, all the people shall what? Yay. Greater than being in the swamp with the resurrected Tebow being the quarterback again. Oh, he won't even touch the ground. No one can even touch him. They just fall over by the power of the Spirit. And with a ram's horn, and that sound of a trumpet, all the people shall shout, hey! With a great shout. We're going to make some noise up in here. And the wall of the city shall fall down. Shall fall down. They shall fall down. You know why? Because God said it was. It seems crazy. Why can't I just speak the word and let it be done? Because God said this is how we're going to do this. Don't make sense to me. What do you want? You're telling us to do what? That don't make sense to me. Well, either the man of God or not. Either the word of the Lord in his mouth or not. Sorry, I'm yelling. But I'm shouting with a great, and that wall is going to fall down. It's not just going to fall down. It's going to fall flat. Flat. You're not even going to have to crawl over a bunch of stuff. It's going to fall flat. And the people shall ascend up every man straight before him. Keep going. Now, y'all know we're using this, but you know, we're talking about us, right? Okay. And Joshua the son of Nun called the priest and said to them, take up the what? Ark of the Covenant, buddy. The Ark of the Covenant. Remember we talked about this being the Ark? I know it's not the Ark of the Covenant, but he said, look, we're taking up the Ark of the Covenant, and let 7 priests bear 7 trumpets. Oh, we ain't got, oh, they're busy. Okay, I guess we can just use 5. That ain't what God said. God said you're using 7. That's why it's important everybody's where they're supposed to be. So when that gathering comes, when a trumpet calls and there's a gathering. Remember years ago we preached about the gathering? Y'all remember that? There's a gathering. And if we're off somewhere lollygagging around, we won't even hear it. Unless it's our daddy whistling. We stop everything we're doing. I'm up to bat. I have to stop everything I'm doing. There's a gathering. Being where they are. Let 7 priests bear 7 trumpets of the ram's horns before the ark of the Lord. Keep going. And he said unto the people, pass on and compass the city, and let him that is armed pass on before the ark of the Lord. Keep going. We're reading the whole chapter. You get to read the whole chapter of the Bible tonight, and you don't have to do it when you go home. At least this week and Sunday. And it came to pass, and it what? And it came to pass when Joshua had spoken unto the people that the 7 priests bearing the 7 trumpets, exactly what God said to do, of the ram's horn passed on before the Lord, and blew with the trumpets, and the ark of the covenant of the Lord followed them. Keep going. That's a whole message there, right there. And the armed men went before the priest that blew with the trumpets, and the reward came after the ark, going on and blowing with the trumpets. Y'all do know that Tabernacle's coming up. Hey, and Joshua had commanded the people, saying, ye shall not shout. Now this is the real miracle. Nor make any noise with your voice. That's the real miracle of this, for the people to shut up. True. What? I can't be mumbling? No. This is important. Apostle Johnny's up here spilling his guts, bringing the word of the Lord. Hey, what are you going to do after church? Oh, I don't want to do that. Why do. Oh, man. I got beat again. Ding, 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 ding. Hey, he said, you don't make any noises. neither shall word proceed out of your mouth. Shut. I didn't say that. Who said that?
Somebody said it.
It just came right out. I just drew it. Was that you, Bethany? Were you talking to Corey when you said that? She just so used, Corey it just bounced right off of him. He's so used to it. Word proceed out of your mouth until the day I bid you shout. Then, when I say shout, you better let all that stuff that you've had held up in you all this time, you better let it out. Next verse. So the ark of the Lord compassed the city going about once, and they came into the camp and lodged in the camp. They did what they were supposed to do that day. They were successful being obedient for the first day. Keep going. And Joshua rose early in the morning, and the priest took up the ark of the Lord. Keep going. And 7 priests bearing 7 trumpets of ram's horn before the ark of the Lord went on continually and blew with the trumpets, and the armed men went before them, but the reward came after the ark of the Lord, going on the blowing with their trumpets. I think they just pasted and copied that in the Bible. Because what they're saying is they did exactly the same thing the second day than they did the first day. They didn't change it because this was what was supposed to happen for 6 days. They didn't change it. They didn't substitute. They said, yeah, but can't I just give the 8%? Can't I just come once a month? Can't I just... No. It's what the word of the Lord was. Keep going. And the second day they compassed the city once and returned into the camp. So they did 6 days. So basically, the trumpets, and they were quiet. They didn't make any noise, and they kept their mouth shut. Yes, there is a God. Keep going. Verse 15. And it came to pass on the 7th day. They did it again. Exactly the same thing. All right? Y'all want to read that real quick? Okay, go to the next one. And it came to pass at the 7th time when the priest blew the trumpets, Joshua said unto the people, what? Shout, for the Lord hath given you the city. Now, isn't it funny that Joshua said that the Lord's given you the city, and the Lord, man of God, sword, said, look, the Lord has given you the city. We're at the beginning of this. But Joshua didn't declare it that it was done until this point, until they completely obeyed God. It's like this. The Lord has given us immortality. Well, guess what? We don't obtain that until we have been obedient and done everything that Yahweh told us to do, and we completed the course. I did teaching a while back, said that this ain't, we're not running the race where we, get on your mark, get set, go, and we just kind of go and just, all right. This ain't a test run. This is the real deal. And we have to finish the course. Even to something that may seem absolutely stupid to the natural and to our flesh. You know why? Because that is the enemy of God. If our flesh agreed with everything, it probably is not God. All right? Pretty simple. Go to verse 17. And the city shall be accursed. Listen to this. It and all therein to the Lord. Listen to this. He said, look, the whole city's cursed. The whole city's cursed. Only Rahab, the harlot. Y'all know the story about her with the spies? Hiding them? You need to read your Bible. It's an interesting story. It's interesting who she was and what she was. Tells you right there. Rahab the shall live. And here we go. This is another thing we hit on last week and whenever it was. Rahab the harlot shall live. She and what? All that with her in the house. In the house. It didn't say outside the house. It didn't say over there. It's in the house. Vital. In the house. Here she was, the only one to be saved, and those that are in the house with her in a city that was gigantic, that had the gigantic wall, that had it where no one could go in, no one could go out, but yet her and her house will be the only ones that would live through what the children of Israel are fixing to do here. Think of that. What they did. We've already passed that. Because she hid the messengers that we sent. Think of that. Well, I really don't seem like I'm doing much. Hey, if we're obeying God and we're walking according to His Word, let me tell you something. You'll be one of the ones that gets saved. You're the ones that will get a well done. You'll be the only one that you're able to live, and not just you, but everyone that's in your house. Because she hid the messengers that we sent. Next verse. And ye in any wise keep from the accursed thing. All right. God said it's cursed. This whole city's cursed. Everything inside these walls is cursed. The only thing that will live is Rahab and those in her house. And you, in any wise, keep from the accursed thing, lest ye make, it says yourselves, but lest ye make accursed when ye take of the accursed thing. He said, look, I'm giving you all this. Look what I'm giving you. I'm giving you the city. I'm giving you the king. I'm giving you the mighty men of valor. I'm giving you Jericho. But I'm here to tell you that it's cursed. And the only thing to live is Rahab and those in her house. Everything else in that is cursed. And you had better not touch or take any partaking of that accursed thing. When ye take the cursed thing and make the camp of Israel a curse. Oh, it's going to affect the person that took it. But guess what? It's going to go beyond that. It's going to make the whole camp of Israel cursed. And guess what? When that happens, and trouble it. There's trouble. There's trouble. There's trouble. You know why there's trouble? Because one thing, that the tithe and that thing that is a curse that belongs to God is His, and we cannot rob God of what is His. We will be cursed. And when we do that, He's going to bring some trouble. You want to be on His good side? Oh, you'll be on my good side? Don't touch that cursed thing. You want to be on my bad side? Touch that cursed thing. Here it is. I lay in front of you, life and death. And when that scripture is so funny, it says, choose ye this day. You're going to have life or you're going to have death. And then he comes back and says, choose life. Hey, I'm going to give you a little hint. Choose life, okay? Get on God's good side, not His bad side, okay? Just between you and I, I'm just saying. All right, verse 19. You see what's going on here? Uh-oh. But all the silver and gold and vessels of brass and iron consecrated unto the Lord, they shall not come into the treasury of the Lord. That belongs to the Lord. All those things. As a matter of fact, everything in it belongs to the Lord. And you bring Rahab and those in her house and you deliver them. That's the only one that's going to make it. Everything else is going to, they're cursed. Let me tell you, when we hang around things that are cursed, there's a big temptation to enjoy what we think the cursed enjoyment is. It's called the world. It's called the flesh. It's called the system. He said, look, all these things belong to me. You don't touch them. Keep going. So the people shouted when they blew with the trumpets, and it came to pass when the people heard the sound of the trumpet, and the people shouted with a great shout, that the wall fell down what? Exactly what God said it was going to do. Exactly. So that the people went up into the city, every man straight before him, and they took the city. Keep going. And they utterly destroyed all in the city, both man, woman, young, old, ox, sheep, and ass, with the edge of the sword. Keep going. But Joshua has said unto the two men that has spied out the country, hey, don't you forget, you better go into the harlot's house and bring out the woman and what? All that she had, and ye swear unto her. Don't you forget what God said. Don't you get caught up in all this excitement, and then all of a sudden you start doing things the way you think they should be and how you think. We better stick to exactly what God said. Even the saving of a harlot. Next verse. And the young men that were spies went in and brought out and that she, and they brought out her and left them. Oh, you're with her? Oh, you're with her? You're with her? You're with her? Come on. You're going to be delivered. All this stuff that's going on in the midst of all this destruction, in the midst of all this destroying death and everything else, and that's a cursed thing. You, because of what you did, Rahab, he's with you, he's with you, she's with you. Okay, all of y'all, come on. You're going to be delivered in this. In the midst of all this crazy stuff that's going on. What horrible circumstances is that for Jericho? Horrible! But in the middle of all those horrible circumstances, Rahab, the Lord said that he was going to deliver you. And we're here to fulfill the word of the Lord, that is going to be delivered. That you were going to be delivered. Keep going. And they burnt the city with fire and all that therein, only the silver and the gold and the vessels of brass and the iron they put into the treasury of what? House of the Lord. All right, keep going. And Joshua saved the harlot and her father's household, and all that she had, and she dwelleth in Israel unto this day. Why? Because she hid the messengers. Let me tell you something. Obeying God and doing something for God does not get just forgotten about it. Oh yeah, that's right. Hey, remember, Yahweh remembers? Y'all remember that? Y'all remember? Yahweh remembers. Remember that? All right. Which Joshua sent to spy out Jericho. Keep going. And Joshua adjured at that time, saying, cursed the man before the Lord that riseth up and buildeth this city. Jericho, he shall lay the foundation thereof in his firstborn, and in his youngest shall he shut up the gates of it. Keep going. So the Lord was with Joshua. He could trust Joshua. Joshua has proven himself. And guess why? Moses could not bring the children of Israel into the promised land. Because he was named Moses. Because the only one that can bring true salvation is Joshua. You know why? Because his name was Joshua. His name was Yeshua. That's why Jesus has no power to do absolutely anything. Because that name don't even exist when it comes to the Lord saves. It's Yeshua. That's why we're so particular. That's why we say, why are you still saying that? It's because of Joshua. It's because of Yeshua that salvation and true deliverance really comes. Isn't it amazing? God is so perfect, isn't he? And his fame throughout all the country, he got popular. That could be trouble. Da-da-da, da-da-da. Oh yeah, look what I did. Keep going. That's it? Perfect. All right. I heard a guy teach this one time. Some of y'all that know video games. He said, how many ever seen the video game Tetris? Now, what happens in Tetris? It's got the thing like that. You have to turn it to make it flat, to make the bottom line. Y'all know what I'm talking about? What happens when the bottom line goes? When it fulfills the bottom line? Huh? But what happens to that bottom line? It disappears. And this one guy said, wouldn't it be nice if God would at least, as they marched around the first time, that Tetris would kick in and the first layers of the blocks for that day would have just said, boop. Then there's the next layer, ready for the next day. Wouldn't that be easy? That would be, oh yeah. Well, let me explain something to you here. You ready? Now, this ain't taking away, this is adding to here everything we just read. When you completed the line disappeared. What if each lap, like we talked about, they did, then all of a sudden they saw their results? Boom. Hey! Woo! Look at here. It's really working. Look at here. God's really doing what he said he would do. Look. We walked around the first time. We were quiet. We didn't say a word. And when we got done and we crossed to where we started from, boop, the wall dropped a little bit. Wouldn't that be nice? But listen to this. If they would have disappeared, it would have showed that they were doing the right thing and they were making progress. Right? Guess what? That takes absolutely zero faith. The first step was faith. Came around. Boom, the wall dropped. Hey, it works. I can't wait till we get out there the next day. That don't take faith. Let me tell you what takes faith. When you're obeying God and you do all this stuff he told you to do and you're walking around the wall and when you come back to where you started that morning, nothing happened. You saw absolutely no results of what was going on. None. So what do? Should they have said, I knew it. We'll never make it. He's just making us do this. Surely us being obedient for that one day, God should honor us and prove to us that what he's telling us is real. If he don't, I'm just not going to do it anymore. Because I really don't believe it worked anyway. Because it didn't do what I thought it should do. So I'm done. I quit. I'm out of here. This ain't real anyway. I knew it. Like he said, I tied for the first time and I didn't get a $1 million raise or win the lottery the next Monday after church on Sunday. Hey, what happened? Hey, come on, guys. I thought you said, hey, you put a seed in the ground. You got there the next day. Well, why ain't my crop there? Oh, it is. Your crop's there. By faith. Just like Joshua was told, the Lord is giving you the city, the king, and all the mighty men of valor. He's giving it to you. But it didn't happen. It didn't happen until they obeyed God and completely went thoroughly exactly what God told them to do. Here we go. Sometimes we feel like we need to see something that motivates us. Oh, look, it really works. I'm motivated now. And if we see that it works, then I don't mind working at it, but if I don't think it works, I'm not going to work at it. Even though it was the word of the Lord. Now, let me ask you this. What would happen if the word of the Lord, and they did 7 times, they did exactly what they were supposed to do, and nothing happened? Well, Bottom line is this. That's impossible because God said that this will come to pass if you do what I've told you to do to the hilt. But what we do, we've put God in our time zone and we think everything He's supposed to do is within what we think the time is. And we miss God. We miss God. There are things in our life that we have prophesied and it didn't happen the next day. It happened way down here. But we never gave up on it. Well, I know, prophesied it. Years ago, we had a men's meeting at 301 Plaza. And there was a young guy, he was kind of new in the Lord. He was kind of trying to step out in faith, was trying to get people to step out in faith. You know, if God's saying something to you, say something. Do something. And he said, I believe that there's somebody here that's dealing with headaches. Is that anybody? Nobody raised their hands. So one of the loving brethren in the congregation or our meeting said, well, looks like you miss God. So he was told, no, that don't mean he missed God. It may mean that somebody sitting out here, sir, has too much pride to admit they're even dealing with anything. So we can't just assume because our preconceived idea of what we think the result is supposed to happen doesn't happen when we think, so we miss God. And I told the guy, I said, look, man, what if God was just going to see if he was going to obey? And he did. And because someone else probably didn't have the guts to stand up and speak the word of the Lord or speak with boldness or step out in faith and try to say, hey, I believe God's telling me this. That they're going to be the ones that make fun of the guy who he thinks missed God. There was probably somebody in there that really was full of pride, which one of the things that God hates, and he didn't want to admit. So just because they went around that first time and Tetris didn't kick in and it didn't drop down, doesn't mean what they're doing wasn't working. Because of what they thought it should be doing. All right. Why wouldn't Yahweh do that for them? Why wouldn't Yahweh help their faith and help them that thing drop down? Why wouldn't He do that? Why wouldn't He do that to us in our situation when we're trying to obey God and we're walking in faith, we're standing in faith, we're still going, we're still enduring, but we may not see the result that we think is going to happen? Why would God do that? I'll tell you why. Maybe Yahweh don't want us to know. Maybe, I can't read my writing here. Maybe Yahweh don't want us to know it's working. Maybe Yahweh has a deeper work that He wants to do than for us to just see the result. Because let me tell you something. As you walk in faith in a situation and you're obeying God and you don't see the results, God's going to do a deep work in us. It's called faith. It's called trusting Him when it don't seem like it's working. Because we thought that God was going to, give us a peep and let us see that some of these things are crumbling. But none of it crumbled. It stood as sturdy and as strong as it ever did. The first day, the second day, the third day, the fourth day, the fifth day, the sixth day. It stayed there. Nothing changed. Their situation never changed. What they were believing God for didn't change. But God said, if you do what I tell you to do, it shall come to pass. And He ain't going to lie to us. Why wouldn't He do that? Maybe Yahweh lets us walk around the walls of whatever our life is. Maybe Yahweh doesn't let us see quite the results that we think we should see. It's because He wants He wants us to become, listen to this, guys, less focused. And this is going to kill us because this is why we do the majority of what we do. He wants us to become less focused on the results and the outcome. Instead of being more focused on, I'm obeying God. I'm obeying God. Well, I did it. And dadgummit, I did it because I want the results. It ain't about results. It's about obeying the word of the Lord. That's what it's about. Obeying the word of the Lord listen to this, to the extent that we done forgot. Now listen, I know this sounds crazy. This is far-fetched. This is super faith. That we done forgot what the result's supposed to be because we're so fulfilled and in the obedience of the word of the Lord. Obedience, and if you've never heard this, I'm going to hit you in the head. Obedience is the blessing, not the walls falling down. You mean to tell me that you have given me the opportunity to obey the word of the Lord? And I can walk in that and I can do it? I don't feel like it. We got to do the same old thing again. We've already done it 5 days in a row and ain't one thing happened. Well, it ain't about results. It's about obedience. Get focused on something. What do you want me to do now? Oh, you want me to do the same thing again? All right. Am I doing this right? He said, okay. He said, do this. He said, do that. Yeah, he didn't say do that. He said, do this. And stick to what his word says and be obedient to his word at all costs. Well, what if they start shooting arrows at us? Archers, position. Turn the sky dark. There were so many arrows. Don't matter. We're obeying God. That is the blessing, not the result of obedience, but obeying is the blessing. The result is nothing but the gravy. It's like eating all your vegetables. And look what's set up for you. That gigantic piece of cheesecake from the Cheesecake Factory, Courtney. They cost $50 for a piece of cheesecake. How much you charge me just to smell it? Y'all know what I'm talking about there. Look, the result. Look, we should be all into obeying God and living for God. And it just so happens that we get a well done at the end of it. Well, I ain't got a well done yet. I'm not blessed. I don't feel like I'm blessed. Like I said, my washing machine tore up. I'm trying to obey God and my washing machine tore up. That means that we're looking for a result. The result don't matter. What matters is I'm obeying God. Whether everything falls apart, I am obeying God. Whether everyone thinks, Noah, you're stupid, he's obeying God. He's not interested in results. He's interested in trying to obey God. The results will come. You hear me? The results will come. But we can't run around trying to get the results out of everything because our flesh man will want to take a shortcut to get them. Well, will he bless me if I just gave $5? Well, is that your 10%? No? Well, no. I had a guy tell me, he was talking about the Spirit told me. I had a guy tell me one time, was at 301 Plaza, I walked in my office. He said, Pastor Joel, I just got to be honest with you. The Holy Spirit told me I didn't have to tithe right now. I was like, well, where did you find that at in the word of the Lord? So that's a true story. True story. I'm not that dumb to make that up. I mean, true story. I said, you need to go see Apostle Johnny because I'm finna kill you. All right, here we go. I really didn't say that, y'all. But I did feel like it. All right, let me see where I'm at here. on the outcome. He wants us to be less focused on the outcome and more focused on obedience. Now listen to this. We've told us this 1,000 times, but we just seem to forget it. But let me take some sweat off your brow. All right? There ain't one thing those guys could have done to knock that wall down. We're not talking about a fence, which mine rots. I put a new one up there, and in 3 weeks it's rotting again. I guess I need to put a sealer on it, don't I? Courtney, put a sealer on it when I get some more on there. The outcome is not your responsibility. The result is not your responsibility. Quit working yourself to death trying to make a result of something. Our responsibility is to do one thing: obey the word of the Lord, and it is up to Yahweh to bring the result. So take it easy. Man, how's this thing ever going to... I can't do nothing. Yeah, absolutely. It takes faith. God said, you do this, I'll bring the result to it. You yelling, you ain't got that big of a mouth that you can blow, huff and puff, and blow the house down, especially when most of the people were smoking like the Big Bad Wolf. Y'all seen that commercial? Big Bad Wolf's been smoking so many cigarettes, he can't even huff and puff and blow the house down anymore. So all the pigs are out there walking around, and he's like, hey! There's nothing we can do to knock those walls down. It ain't going to happen. But what will happen when we obey God and our responsibility and we're being obedient to what He's called us to do and to be, He said, this shall come to pass, because if you obey me, I will back you up with because you did what I told you to do, and I will get the glory for it, and I will be responsible for the result, not you. You just obey me, and I'll take care of the rest. That's liberty, guys. That's liberty. Well, I did this and nothing happened. So, it's not the result. Aren't you glad you brought that cup? You did bring that cup, right? Okay, Bethany made you. I know. Hey, I'm not going to work myself to death to try to bring a result that I cannot bring. He's taught us several times about God hasn't called the mole to fly like an eagle and an eagle to dig like a mole. It ain't going to happen. You cannot change the result in your life. But you can obey God, and God will change that result. You hear me? And when I say you can't change that result, I'm not saying, well, I don't have to do anything now. No, that's the whole point. We got to obey God, and God said He'll change it. Here they are. This wall was huge. He says, you do this 6 times. You do it the way I told you. And they did. Each one of those things. Well, they did this. Oh, how many times are we going to hear about the gospel of the kingdom and His name is Yeshua? Well, I hear some of you and we ain't heard it enough. But you know what? It may be the word of the Lord to us, because let me tell you, how many years did we been taught the other thing? And we think we can just snap our fingers and change that? Let me tell you something. It's something that we have to obey God in, and God will make the result and change us. So they had to do the same exact thing. Wasn't this kind of like the message Apostle Johnny preached last Sunday? Yeah. And again I say unto thee, ye hard-headed ones, listen. I got to do the same thing the second day as I just did the first day? I got blisters on my feet, man. Oh, now I got to do again the third day again? I got to do the same old thing again on the third day? Oh my gosh. It's the 4th day now. And ain't one thing happened. Not even a little crack. I mean, we had cracks here. This didn't even crack. We ain't doing nothing here. I don't see any result in obeying God. That's because we're looking for the result and not looking for the obedience. Keep your eye on what the word of the Lord is and walk toward it and continue in it. And I promise you, the results will come. But if we stayed looking at what the results are or what we think should have happened or didn't happen, we'll say, forget it. Look what all I did. Hey, God is responsible for the results. We are responsible for obedience. Don't ever forget that. Put that in front of your toilet, on the refrigerator, in front of your TV screen, and say, God's responsible for the results. I just got to obey. That'll bring some liberty to you guys. While the children were walking, obviously nothing happened to the wall. Go to Hebrews 11:30. Most of y'all know all about this chapter. By what? By faith. By faith. Not me stomping enough and huffing and puffing and blowing the wall down made the walls of Jericho fall down. It was done by faith. The walls of Jericho fell down, and after they were compassed about 7 days. When they did exactly by faith what God told them to do and wasn't complaining about it, didn't say, well, I think I want to go around this way now, or I got a better idea. Why don't we? No. What did God say to do? They did it by faith. And watch this. Let me tell you one of the reasons I believe that God said, I don't want you to even open your mouth. Because there would have been some murmuring and some complaining. Can you believe this? I love you. Praise the Lord. This is stupid. We got to do this again 5 more stinking times? And ain't one thing happened? I would have surely thought some cracks would have come in this wall somewhere by now. You think God's real? God may not even be real. They're playing us a fool. This is stupid. Yeah. The preaching of the word is foolishness to the flesh. By faith, it happened. But what was happening inside of the children of Israel, those who were being obedient? Listen to this. They were getting used to obeying the Lord. Watch this. They were getting trained in obeying the Lord. That may sound non-spiritual, but let me tell you, that's a word. You train up a child in the ways of the Lord, and when they're old, they won't depart from it. Training, conditioning yourself, conditioning yourself. Conditioning yourself. That's why we can't live like hoodlums and then come here on Wednesday and Sunday and think everything's wonderful and we can just jump right back in. Because we won't. We'll pretend like we are. We can lift our hands, but if we haven't been, spending time with God, listening, obeying Him, that's just an act. You know what an act is? Something that's not real. Hey, who you acting like? But they were being trained in their obedience. They were following their instruction, even when maybe sometimes they didn't understand it. Man, I don't understand this, but that's what the word of the house is. And I'm going to have to obey the word of the house. Even though I may not get it, I may not understand it, I trust the word of the Lord. And I'm going to step out and do it. Even though I may have questions, even though I may not understand, but I do know this. I'm just going to trust and step out in faith. And I'm going to trust God with the result of it. Because that's what happens. We have fear that God ain't going to do what He said He was going to do. Well, what if I do that and nothing happens? Well, when Yahweh said this shall come to pass, it's going to come to pass. But don't think it's going to come to pass in our life if we're not being obedient to His word. We cannot get the result of God's word without being obedient to it. I believe the Lord's going to honor me and bless me even though I robbed Bank of America today. I just believe. That's what I believe. You can say what you want to. You can show me scripture, but that's what I believe. I believe in His grace. That I can do anything. And He don't care. They were preparing, God was preparing them for the promise. God used that 7 times. And on the 7th time, you go around 7 times. Are you going to obey me in this? Because if you're not going to obey me in this, you're never going to be trusted in that. I'm training you. I am teaching you. I am preparing you for the promise that I said is going to come to pass. And guess what that promise is? It's a well done. But if we're not doing it here, He's not going to trust us with the true riches. He's not going to let us rule and reign if we're murmuring and complaining about everything that's going on. He's not going to trust us if we don't trust Him. Because without faith, it is impossible to do what? Please God. Without faith. So, those people, the children of Israel, they obeyed God. They did exactly what He said to do, no matter how hard it seemed, no matter how stupid it seemed. And like I said, the biggest miracle, one of the biggest miracles is they couldn't say nothing. And I believe there's a reason for that. It wasn't so the people of Jericho didn't know they were out there, because they had some trumpets blowing there they were. They could see them. Boom, boom, boom. I mean, we're like, what is that noise? Is that your stomach rumbling again? No. I think the Israelites were out there walking around the city for some reason. They knew they were there. We're doing this. We're sneaking. We're doing this so they can't hear us. Well, that's why the walls get cracked. They weren't stomping hard enough. That's a joke. So, they were quiet, I believe, for one reason. And that during the scripture, this is my opinion. It says, thus saith the Lord. So they couldn't gripe and murmur and complain about the promise and being obedient to the word of the Lord. Well, I tell you what, I just shut up! Don't say a word. Don't let anything come out of your mouth. And when y'all do this the 7th time on the 7th day, all that energy that's been built up in you that you're used to gossiping with, I want you to shout and give it for God's glory, because I'm training you to shut your mouth and not murmur and complain if you want the result that I'm trying to bring to you. We preached it 1,000 times. Burn down our crop. Well, I sowed. And all of a sudden we begin to see it. Then all of a sudden it's on fire. That crop is on fire. Come on, everybody. Come on, be the sheaves. That crop is on fire. Now, if she was here singing that song, y'all be up here doing all this stuff. I know. Go, Beverly Ray. Come up here with me, baby. James, sit back down. That'd be a miracle. Come. Hey. So when we're obeying God, this is an oxymoron. But if we're obeying God, quit griping about it. For real. My gosh, we're obeying God. And say, what an honor and a privilege it is that I can obey God and get the result that He told me I would get. Watch this. But I'm not doing it so I can get that result. I'm doing it because I'm an obedient servant. And He said go, and I say, I'll go. I'm gone. Where do you want me to go? Send me. I'll go. Well, I can't go there. Well, we might get, if we don't go there wherever we are, we might get swallowed by a big fish. And let me tell you something. There's a lot of people. You know, most people who leave here don't go anywhere. I say 99% of them don't go absolutely anywhere. And then where they do go, they're just going through the emotions. Unless they just absolutely don't believe anything that they said they believed. So, we better obey God and be where we're supposed to be. Or, watch this, we'll get God's results on that too. Because there is God's results, whether you're on the good side of obedience or if we're on the bad side of obedience, that's God's result too. You hear me? So we're going to get God's results, whether it's in obedience or disobedience. I choose obedience. I choose God's way. I choose God's side. I want to do it. I choose life. He laid it out there, and well, I'm not sure. Hey, choose life. Choose life. It's like you have that test, and that one answer, you can't figure out what it is, and the person next to you say, it's B. It's B. It's me? It's what? I know I've told you this story before. When I was in elementary school, you know the little test that you mark the little things. There's like 4 of them. What are they called? Multiple guess. Yeah. Scantron? Okay, Scantron. So this is what the guy did. I mean, yeah. You had to use a number 2 pencil because a number 3 would not work. Huh? Achievement test. Yeah, achievement test. Good old AT. We called it AT. We called it a cheating test. It's actually what we called it. Because this friend of mine finished way before I did. And I thought I was probably the smartest one ever went to that school. But he finished way before I did. And I went to him and said, man, how did you finish so fast? He said, man, you won't believe it. The back side of the page, someone had already answered them, and they erased it. So he just went through there. I'm done. Well, come to find out, when he did the first page, all the things were lined up exactly to the little oval circles on the back side. And it was nothing more than the pressing through of the pencil, the number 2 pencil. So what was A over here on the backside, it pressed through as D. He thought someone had gone through there and erased it. He was done. So there was one mark on one page and went completely through to the other side. So he was done. That ain't very smart. So we would want to do it the shortcut way. Yeah, Christmas tree. Exactly. That's what we used to do. Y'all done it before, right? I used to do it like there would be a helicopter here and he was shooting. Oh, yeah. That was wartime. Wartime. Because let me tell you, our way is we want to do it the cheap and easy way. We want the shortcut. Remember we talked about Naaman a while back? I want to go to the prophet and I want to be healed from this. I'll do whatever. I want to get to the prophet. So he goes to the prophet, rides up on his horse, and the prophet's servant comes to the door and says, he says, hey, I want the prophet to give me a word so I can be healed. So he goes back, talks to the prophet. Prophet, tell him to go to the river and dip 7 times. His servant came back and said, hey man, the prophet says dip in the river 7 times. He got offended. You know why? Because I'm so important, I want the prophet himself to come out here. Why would he come out here? Well, I'm his servant. I'm representing him. It's just like him coming out here. It's no different. All right? It's the word that he spoke that makes the difference. It isn't whether he spoke it in your ear or not. So he heard the word from the prophet that he didn't like how it was given to him. And then he didn't like where he had to go dip because it was one of the dirtiest rivers around. And it's probably the furthest one away. Y'all remember the teaching? Yeah, but why can't I? Why can't I just go to Silver River? Why do I have to go all the way up to Georgia to Chattahoochee, which you can't see that deep in the water? Why do I have to go way out there? Why can't I just do this? Well, that ain't what the word of the Lord from the prophet that you trusted so much, but you got mad because it ain't how ye delivered it and it ain't where you wanted him to go. So let me tell you guys, there's going to be words that come to us and our flesh ain't going to want to like how it was given, may not even like who it was given by, and ain't going to like what I got to do to get to do it. But here's the key. We do it because we obey God. Period. I'm marching. I'm not going to complain about it. I'm not going to fuss about it. Does he know who I am? How dare he come to me? I'm the captain here of the army here. Does he know who I am? Oh, okay. Right. Well, obviously, you don't know who he is, the one that you're coming to, trying to get the word of the Lord. So when we get the word of the Lord, we can't murmur and complain about because we don't like or how much it's going to cost us or how far we got to go or whatever. Just by faith, obey the word of the Lord. And before you know it, we're doing this. We're obeying the Lord. Next thing you know, we're at the 7th day. Man, that was fast. We're right on the 7th day. Well, come on. Instead of, we got to do this now 7 times around. Quit complaining. Obey God. That's the blessing. And before you know it, guys, here we are, obeying God, obeying God. We call it the rhythm of faith. That's the rhythm of faith. We're obeying God. We're obeying God. Here we are. We're obeying God, doing what God said. Not concerned about any results. Concerned about the rhythm of faith and obeying God. I'm 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 obeying God. And before we know it, bam, there we are. We're at the place of the result that was promised, that God said, this too shall come to you. It will pass. This shall come to pass. What I said will happen, will happen. Don't murmur about it. Don't complain about it. Just obey me. Don't worry about the result. I'll take care of that. You just do what I said, and I'll take care of everything else. But yet we wear ourselves out trying to be God. Well, they didn't get my result like I wanted to. Just trust God with the result. All right. Just about done here. The greatest miracle other than them being quiet is this. The children of Israel, by faith, were obedient that whole time. Say whole time. Say they didn't quit. They endured. They obeyed the whole time without seeing one result of what they were promised. Here they were, all the way to the 7th day. They still didn't see any result. None. They obeyed. Even to the 6th lap around the walls. Never seeing one result of them obeying God. And the way that we do that is we trust God with the result. And we're not after the result. We're after obeying Him. That automatically comes. Stay focused on what God is saying to us. Stay on the course. Don't get veered off. Don't lollygag and next thing you know, you're over here just kind of wondering, hey, you're just making it hard on yourself because we got to walk around these walls. We got to obey. Come on. Get over here. Well, now we get offended. Because somebody I don't like said something to me trying to do something in love. Now I'm ready to beat them up. And all they're really trying to do is say, come on, we got to do this. We got to finish this. So my encouragement to us, Ecclesia, is it don't matter if it's the walls of Jericho. And this ain't like going around that little wall right there. This is huge. If you're going through something that's got gigantic walls or whatever it may be, I'm here to tell you, obey God through it. And don't keep your eyes on, well, that ain't the results I'm looking for. Well, what? I figure something would happen by now. Because let me tell you something. God has perfect timing. And He was going to see, are you going to trust me? It's easy to just say, in the name of Yahweh. And then something happened. But when it's something we got to walk out in obedience, that builds character. And that builds because we're doing it by faith. By faith, the walls of Jericho fell down. And without faith, it is impossible to please God. Keep focused on what the word of the Lord is. Keep focused on our obedience. And forget about the result. It will come at the exact time that we're supposed to have it. Because we can get spoiled real quick. I prayed that one time it come immediately. Why didn't it come immediately? Well, because that didn't build any character and no faith. Let's obey the word of the Lord to the hilt, and His result will happen. Man, you want to say anything? Okay.